county budget, and we're doing this on Zoom. First, I would like to call the meeting to order and now ask for the attendees to state their names. This is a roll call attendance, please.
I can do that if you'd like, Commissioner.
Please.
Commissioner Tyler,
Here.
Commissioner Katerina,
Here.
Commissioner Cloutier, Commissioner Gordon,
Here.
and Commissioner Smith.
Here. Excellent.
All five
Please.
in attendance.
Excellent. We have a quorum this evening or this afternoon. I would like to put a matter. We have one item on the agenda, and it is item 26-047 to amend the fiscal year 27 budget. Could we just have a motion to put that on the floor, please?
So moved.
Second.
That's a motion by Cloutier, a second by Commissioner Katerina. Now that the motion is on the floor, before I ask for public comment, if we have any, County Manager, would you like to speak about this matter?
Yes, thank you. And thank you for your time and jumping on for this special meeting. As the commissioners are aware, back in March, we went through the process of review and approval of the FY27 budget. We were a little later than what we had anticipated, largely because we had some items that we were trying to wait on to be all encompassing as possible. However, as you know, the legislature was still in session at that time, and we were still working through the federal contract that ultimately was put on the April commissioner meeting for amendment. So today, we have learned a lot since the March budget. The legislature has worked through the bills that they had been working on during the March and April time period. And one of the bills that they worked on was jail funding. And as much work from MCCA, the county managers, Maine Municipal was even in there side by side with the counties to put forth a strong bill, I felt, to raise a level of sustainable growth in the state aid to jails. Ultimately, it fell short of what our real desires were for funding and consistency. And the legislature ultimately approved a one-time $4 million commitment out of state revenues. So this was new money that we saw coming down from Augusta that could be worked through the budget process. However, it was after our budget process was already completed. One of the items that's not that we like is that it doesn't do anything other than one-time funding. And that one-time funding, as you know, is something that you really have to be strategic in how you spend it, because you just don't want to plug it into your budget and create a hole for yourself in the subsequent year. Staff feels and estimates that we will get somewhere in the $740,000 range. However, no concrete number has been given to us at this time. And as it goes through a formula through MDOC based on the number of inmates the jails have statewide and distributed on a percentage basis. So the best guess we can make at this point is around $740,000. In comparison, this year we received, I believe, somewhere in the $780,000 range. In addition to the $780,000, actually, excuse me, we received close to $3 million this year. Additionally, the FY26 budget had another round of one-time funding And that one-time funding was for medically assisted treatment at jails. And that was coincidentally enough, another $4 million. That one-time money we were hoping to secure through the supplemental budget process, but was unable to get the governor to put it in the budget, nor did the legislature amend the supplemental budget to include any additional MAP funds. So really, as June 30th comes, at the end of our fiscal year, that money that we received, and that was the $780,000, that would in a sense go away. And we would be funding the entire MAT program ourselves. What we have for a proposal for you all today concerning the state legislature money is to address the need to backfill the loss of funds for the MAT program. And we have estimated that to be around $420,000 a year that we spend. That is for staffing and for the prescriptions that we support the inmates with. In addition, as if you do the quick math, the 420,000 is not 740,000. We would ask the commissioners to move the remaining funds, roughly $320,000, into one-time capital for the jail. The jail has a number of capital items out there that are in need of completion, and we're not ready, or we're not considered in this the FY27 tight budget year that we were going through. Some of those items include, there's a significant floor repair in one of the pods that needs to be completed for safety reasons. Another is the renovation of a number of pods, shower basins. We have a transport van, 50% of a transport van in support of the jail. This transport van brings inmates all over the state and also up to the courthouses for hearings. And then we also are in need of a security camera server that over the last 2 or 3 months has really gone south on us and needs replacement. We are proposing to handle the state legislature money of $740,000, divided between $420,000 going into the MAT reserve, and $320,000, and give or take wherever the number falls, ultimately into the capital reserve for the jail. We feel as though this is the best direction to go in with this one-time funding source. Additionally, in April, the commissioners directed the county manager to amend the federal U.S. Marshals contract. This had been under much discussion over the last 8 months, and at that April meeting, you asked for us to amend the contract to remove the relationship with ICE from the contract. We had, over the last number of months, felt as though, and actually heard at one point, that we could be subjecting ourselves to the total elimination of the contract if we asked to amend it to remove one entity off of it. However, since the April meeting, I have had discussions with our consultant down in Washington, D.C. that helped us work through the Marshals contract renegotiation back in 2023. I have also touched base with a county in New York that went through a similar process of removing immigration off from their U.S. Marshals contract. And I have also talked to the U.S. Marshal Service about the amending of the contract. And all three sources had given me some assurances that our request is a common request and one that would be considered by the U.S. Marshals. And we may have a very strong chance of retaining the U.S. Marshals in the jail versus what we thought was going to be just the opposite. And so we feel as though this is a good opportunity to look at booking some of that revenue into the budget to reduce the tax rate. As many of you know, the tax rate was rather high for us this year because of that loss of the federal revenue. And so with that $750,000 that we're proposing in new Marshall revenue that the budget back in March had proposed zero, we would bring that $750,000 forward in revenue. We have done a little bit of more research and fine-tuning the jail budget and find that what we're trending today, we're going to kind of fall short a little bit in wages and benefits. And we would ask that $136,000 go into wages, taxes, and benefits in the jail budget as expenditures. We are short on the workers' comp side of $75,000, as we have seen significant increases in workers' comp associated with the jail, leaving $538,850 to be used in reducing the tax rate for the county. How's it applied to the jail? The jail tax rate was approved at 10.26%, and we're in totality, when you bring the jail general fund and the cross insurance renewal all together, the jail represented 10.26% of the total pie. It would bring it down to 8.98%. In turn, when you bring all three cost centers together, we were at 12.93 back in March. The total budget would then be reduced down to 11.65 today, based on what I had proposed using the U.S. Marshals money. So that's staff's proposal to the commissioners. We feel it is in the best interest of the county taxpayers to do everything we can. We're on, in a sense, unprecedented process here in amending our budget so late. But I believe that we're still in time to make a difference for many communities who are finalizing their budgets and pushing them off for a vote in June, ultimately committing taxes after July 1st for the following year. So I'm available to answer any questions. Teresa and Alyssa are also on, and Brianna, that we feel that any questions we can provide you answers to. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, County Manager, for that rundown, that complete picture of what we're looking at today. Before we speak amongst ourselves, is there anyone from the public who would like to speak to this matter this afternoon? Please raise your hand.
Seth, do we have anyone in the waiting room?
We do not.
Do not. There is no
Excellent.
public in the waiting room.
Thank you. So without public comment, I'm going to open up to commissioners. Commissioners, would anyone like to speak to this matter? Yeah. Commissioner Cloutier, I see your hand raised.
Thank you. I would just say that the disposition of the fund, the anticipated allocation from the legislature's $4 million jail appropriation has got almost half of what we anticipate is going to be available is actually going into a reserve fund for the capital issues that may arise. And I think that's a great idea, since we don't know the actual disposition of funds in our direction or anywhere else. And I'm glad to hear that we have enough warm air being blown on the circumstances of the alteration of our federal contract to have some confidence that we can incorporate some revenue into the budget as a result of that. I suppose if we were hyper conservative, we would balk at that for a while, but I think under the circumstances and knowing what's going on nationally, it helps us think that it should be fine. So I'm in favor of the proposal as drafted.
Thank you. Any other commissioner who'd like to weigh in? Yes, Commissioner Katerina?
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Cloutier. Having been, involved with the legislative portion of this, we really tried our darndest to get money out of the legislature. The good news is, I think we've started to develop some really good relationships with like the Maine state sheriffs and others, Maine municipal and whatnot. So coming down the line, we should have a little more traction. Of course, who knows who's going to be governor? Who knows? 1/3 of the legislature turns over. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. My only question is, the marshal's contract is not a given at this point, but that's fine. I mean, we can only do what we can do. I'm feeling pretty positive, knock on wood, that the contract with the marshals will be fine, and we'll be able to move forward. So I can support this change in the budget, and I'm happy to see that we can potentially be reducing the burden to the property taxpayer. So that's it for me.
Excellent. Thank you. Commissioner Gordon? You're on mute. You gotta turn it off. You're on mute. I can't hear you. Mute.
There we go.
Excellent. Thank you.
First, I'd like to say thanks to our administrator and Jim and his staff for what they've done here. I don't like it, but it's appalling what we've had to end up with because of the impact that we're having on taxes. The issue that I see is that it really boils down to the jail and its costs. The $4 million that we've got is a one-time. We've been one-time as I recall, for the last 4 years. And so the state essentially has not increased its requirements to pay for these jails. And what I mean by that is that most of this money that we should be receiving for the jails comes from mandates that the legislature placed upon themselves, and yet they refuse to honor that, even though the Constitution requires it. If we look at the numbers that at least I've been exposed to, and they could be changed, those numbers we should be getting, if we stay within the percentages as before, the state jails should be receiving something like $13.2 or $0.8 million this year. And what did we get? 4. So you can see the discrepancy that we have going on in the state. And we're not the only ones that mandates they don't acknowledge or pay for. There is no priority in budgeting for mandated dollars. And as a result, we're going to continue to run into this in the future. And I am ashamed of the state. I'm ashamed of the legislature for what they're not doing, even though they agreed that they would. With that, I thank the staff for having come out with something that at least gets us by, but it is causing problems for the county, which goes and affects the tax rate of the communities, because it's the county tax money that on the property that they have to collect for us. And shame on the state.
Thank you, Commissioner Gordon. Commissioner Tyler?
Yes, thank you. I think staff's done a great job in trying to figure this out. No question, anytime we can go back to the towns with a little bit of reduction of what they owe us, they're gonna smile. Jim and I went to the Wyndham meeting budget overview a few weeks ago, and we did find out in Wyndham's case, the county budget is 5 cents on the dollar. For every dollar they need money, we're a nickel. But if they could drop that to 4.5, they would be excited, because every town is under restraint of trying to. Harris and Gray's got some real issues. So yeah, I have no question that this is probably a good move forward, and hopefully the marshal's money does come through and we can keep that ball rolling a little bit.
Thank you, Tom. A couple thank yous. One, to my fellow commissioners. All of you have been working really hard on this issue of jail funding. I know many of you have either sent emails, made phone calls, gone up to Augusta. I think there's been a real concerted effort to try to get our voices heard in terms of jail funding. And I think clearly it's a fight we will keep fighting and it will be continuing. But I want to say thank you to my fellow commissioners who worked really hard to raise their voices and be heard in a respectful way, but to let people know jails are not jails of 1990, they're jails of 2027, and there's a lot of things going on in our jail. So thank you for working hard on that issue. County manager and the staff, thank you so much for working through the amendment on the U.S. Marshals contract. I'm also fairly conservative on a budget side, but because our county manager has spoken to another county where it was a similar situation, spoke with the U.S. Marshals, it gives me very good confidence. And if the staff feels it's right to do, I completely 100% are behind the staff. If they feel that we can count on that money from the U.S. Marshals contract, I say thank you for that level of confidence from the phone calls you've made and the work you've done. I think that's really very helpful for us as we make this decision. So those two things look really good. I think a couple of questions I have. In generally, I'm favor of this, but I think it's important to know to another commissioner's point. I think it was Commissioner Cloutier, the capital expenses that we've earmarked. You had four. You had a floor, we had a shower basin, we had a transport van, and then a server that's gone south of some sort. Do we have any dollar amounts on those four items? Like, is each one $100,000? Is one $50,000? Do we have any ballpark ticket price tags on those?
I can provide ballpark on 2 out of the 4 I mentioned.
Okay.
The van was originally in the budget for $42,000.
Okay.
It's an $84,000 van, but half of it was approved in the FY26 budget, which is the current year budget, and the other half was slated to go into the FY27. But because of our budget issues, we removed that at the last minute.
Okay.
And so this would put the van at full value and be able to be purchased in the upcoming year.
Okay.
The server, I have a sticky on my wall here. It's $40,000
Okay. Great.
that the IT director gave me and that's to run all the cameras. There's over probably 180 cameras in the jail, and it's very important to have a strong server to support that.
Yeah.
The other two, we do not have a good estimate on those, only because we would have to go out to bid for both that work.
Okay.
And there's a number of showers, basins in the pods that need to be replaced. However, we will have to put out the bid and see what the costs are, and then we'll get as many done as possible under that bid. And with the money that we have allocated to that work. And the jail floor is another one that needs to go out to bid for us to really understand the cost associated with that. The floor is in pretty rough shape. The pod is trying not to be used, but sometimes because of shifting of inmates from pod to pod for work to be done in other pods, they have to use that, and it's becoming a safety hazard for not only staff, but also the inmates.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jim, to run down on those four items. The last little piece I have a comment on is you talked a little bit about wages. We have, rising workers' comp claims or monies that you quoted at 75,000. And I guess the wages and the benefits, you also, I think it was 136,000. The one thing I didn't hear that I am a little concerned on, because the sheriff just mentioned it, what the plan might be for the Family Medical Leave Act, Maine's Family Medical Leave, which is hitting a lot of businesses, whether private or public or institutions. And people are setting aside a certain amount of dollars, even though you don't know when someone's going to use that leave. The sheriff intimated that he was concerned about people taking that leave. And so do we have any way to put aside dollars on that particular piece, or have we already accounted for that?
We've already accounted for that.
Okay.
On both the weekly contribution that we have to make into the
Yep.
system, and it's just one of those items that if someone goes out, we gotta backfill it with overtime, and so there's both the wage and the overtime area we feel is appropriately funded by adding this additional money into it.
Okay, so we've planned for that and we're kind of putting pennies away. Okay, great.
It's a really a true unknown, the extent of it all, as May 1st was the beginning stages of the program, and we're just keeping our fingers crossed that it's not impactful for our organization.
Yeah, it seemed like the sheriff knew there was a few things going on in the jail that is already a few inquiries about taking time. So just want to keep our eyes on that as we best we can. So thank you for answering that question. I'm in favor of what we're doing today. I really appreciate all the hard work, and giving taxpayers a little bit of payback on this, I think, is the absolute right thing to do. I know everybody worked really hard on the budget, and if we can bring back a couple dollars or more than that to towns, I think that's puts us in a positive light in terms of the county's sense of services versus costs and expenses to the taxpayer. So I'll be voting in favor of this evening, this afternoon. Without any more comment, we'll close our comment and we'll ask for a roll call vote because we are on Zoom this evening or this afternoon. Sorry, hadn't been up early this morning. Someone, Jim, would you mind doing the roll call vote, please?
Sure, there is a revised motions in your packets, and I would refer to the last page of that. We gave you the entire motion that you've already approved, but the last page is titled amended budget motions. And for ease, if you would like me to read that motion, and we can take a roll call vote. And then I would ask just for memorialization that the commissioners make a second motion, and that would be for the funneling of $420,000 into the MAT reserve, and then the remaining funding that becomes available once we find our final number goes into the jail capital. And maybe it's a reduction of the jail capital, but it could be a plus or minus thing depending upon what that number comes in at. Getting to the amended budget motions. Cumberland County Commissioners move to amend the budget for the budget year 2026, 2027 as follows. County expenditures, $31,968,285. Jail expenditures, $25,948,810. Cross insurance arena, $2,714,557. Revenue, $13,103,575. Designated fund balance out of the general fund, $300,000. Jail tax stabilization, $200,000. And the jail tax stabilization is out of the jail fund balance. Tax assessment, $47,028,077. Enterprise funds, $16,605,624. Grants, $4,206,217. Summary budget from all sources gross, $81,443,493, with an amended percent tax increase of 11.65. And roll call vote. Commissioner Gordon?
I saw a
Commissioner
hand raised.
Cloutier?
Yes.
Commissioner Katerina?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyler?
Yes.
Chair Smith?
Yes.
Show the vote 5-0. Thank you. Now it's appropriate time for a second motion to move the $420,000 to the medically assisted treatment, or otherwise known as MAT, reserve, and to remove approximately $320,000, depending upon what our total allocation is in the next couple months, to one-time capital reserve for the jail.
So moved.
Second,
That's a motion by Cloutier, a second by Commissioner Tyler. We'll have a roll call vote on this as well, please.
Commissioner Gordon,
Commissioner Gordon, aye.
was that an aye or a deny?
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Tyler,
yes,
Commissioner Cloutier,
Yes.
Commissioner Katerina,
Yes,
Chair Smith.
Yes. Show that vote passes unanimous.
Thank you. And at this point, that's all we have for business today. I appreciate everyone's time and commitment and working through this with staff. We feel as though we're on a good footing here, and I think if we can do every little bit, like many of you said, to reduce that tax impact to the residents of Cumberland County, it's a good thing. So thank you for your help.
Very good. Without any further comment, I would like to have a motion for adjournment, please.
so
So
moved.
Oh, second.
Everybody's jumping in. I think it was Gordon who said yes, and then I'll just pick Tom Tyler for second. I think I saw Tom's hand. All those in favor for
Aye.
adjournment? Show the adjournment.